Hello and good day to you all. Welcome to the show. Hope you're ready for a good one. This is going to be a bit different to what we normally do. And today we're doing a bit of a history lesson, a lecture on my part. Probably I'll be botching history, and you guys will be hammering away at your keyboards trying to correct me, but that's all good. Yeah, it's nice to see you all today. This really is an excuse just to show off some of our older products that we haven't shown you for a little while, and the idea is that this will be a series, which maybe monthly or something like that, where we will go through from the 1940s up to our more modern cars, and talk about their kind of historical relevance, and talk about the different models that the cars produced, and just maybe trying to place some of these cars into a specific year, or something like that. I think for me this is a good way to show off some of the more scale features of the cars, because FMS, especially Rock Hobby, are very good at putting those details in, and and so this will be a good way to highlight that. I hope you find it interesting, and yeah, I'll be checking your comments and trying to learn a little bit more from you guys, because I'm sure you guys know a lot of history stuff too. I'll just quickly say hello to everybody. Hello, Hamel and Cool Hawk. You guys were here super early, like half an hour early, which that's really nice to know that you guys are, excited and getting ready. Trocker RC, the real Cletus, Harry Hetzer, hello. Spry Guy, Donald's Neff, hello, Josh Magnum, and a name that I cannot begin to pronounce, Kietel Arkvik Gogstad. There we go. I did my best. That's a cool name, and it's a name I have no idea what language it's from. It seems like a European name, but yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. And Anna Somming, nice to see you here. OG, I've lost my place, but yeah, hello OG Mikey's RC room. Yeah, lots and lots of guys here, so I'll leave it at that. Hello, Donald's Neff is in the house. I can't believe I'm saying it is in the house. I've never said that before. That's something that's really, I hear it a lot in live streams, and yeah, now I'm starting to say it too. Hello, Blaze Corcoran and Carnivore, Joe's house. So it's great to see you guys. We are, yeah, we're about to start. Let me quickly tell you, first of all, we're going to have a short or small Seckilling, which will just be for a couple of different products, and there's only two available, at the price that we're giving available for each one. So it's a very, very limited deal. You have to be the first one to buy it, and if it says it's out of stock, or you can no longer buy it, that means somebody else got there ahead of you. Now, I'm not sure when we're going to put that on. In about 5 minutes, we'll put the link on, and then I'll let you know, and you guys can, if you are interested in it, you can race to get those products. So yeah, what was I going to say? Today, I'm going to be mainly taking you through the cars of the 1940s. And this is kind of in two parts. We're going to focus on the military stuff. Of course, it was the first half of the century was all about the military cars. And then kind of after the war, what the companies were doing, how the companies were kind of moving on from all of their efforts that they had put into the war, and we have a couple of post-war cars to show off today. So you can see in my corners, I've got the Willis on one side, and I'll show you that properly in a minute. But yeah, this is a really nice one, and then and on this side we've got the Commander Wagon. And based on, it's a predecessor to the Beetle, which I'm sure you can recognize. And so we're going to be starting by talking a little bit about what was happening on the European side with Germany. And of course, Germany was in the 1940s, in the early 1940s, was in the middle of war. So they had been preparing for this kind of in the 1930s, and of course Hitler famously had built the Autobahn, not by himself, but it was his kind of brainchild. And this Autobahn is a really famous, excellent quality system of highways or motorways. And please do correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. I'll quickly tell you, I've done research. I spent a lot of time researching, but I've mainly been looking at like Wikipedia, watching a lot of YouTube videos and things like that, reading some articles. I'm not an expert on it, and I haven't bought extensive books on the subject. But anyway, the Autobahn, and from what I gather, that was to show off Germany's advanced technology, or not technology, but you know what I mean, building infrastructure. And the problem was that there were no cars to go on it because nobody could afford cars. So whereas in America they had Ford and Buick and these kind of companies that provided cheap cars for the people, Germany didn't have any. So Hitler and the Nazi party were looking for cars that could that could compete with the American cars in that way. So this led to an agreement with Dr. Ferdinand Porsche. I'm not sure how the Germans pronounce it. When I was growing up, I always called it Porsche, and then I heard other people calling it Porsche, and I thought maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, this led to a discussion with Dr. Ferdinand Porsche, and he developed a car which was called the KDF Wagon. KDF Wagon, which looked very much like the Beetle of today, and it looked quite similar to this. This is basically what the KDF Wagon was. A strange history lesson, yeah. So this was a light off-road passenger car, and so they developed this. And there's some people are. I'm sure many of you know that the word Volkswagen means the car of the people. The idea was that they were building cars that people could afford, but there's also a suspicion that these cars were really designed to prepare the country for war, and were designed with military capabilities in mind. And a lot of the cars from 1933 onwards, they had to be built with certain requirements that the government had, and so these cars were very, 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 very capable off-road and things like that. So yeah, so let's go on to. I'm going to come back to that in a minute, and I'm going to bring you to the first military car that they had, which was the Kübelwagen. And a Kübelwagen, or Kübelwagen, wagon means car, Kübel means like bucket or something like that. And this was also created by Ferdinand Porsche. It's made to be simple, cheap, easy to repair, suitable for mass production. The body itself is extremely thin and lightweight. The floor, is very, very close to the seating is very close to the floor. It has it has a very, very flat flat what do you call it, underbody, and it had very good ground clearance for the day. It had what else, it had very cool features for things like just for military use. So it had these bucket lights. Now I'm going to show you the this version because it's got some of these parts are broken off, but it has an anti-surveillance light I always wondered what this part was. I didn't know what this part was, but I found out recently from research that this is a Bosch horn. So this is one of the early horns that cars had. Now, in those days, they didn't have indicators for lights, so they would use their horn for a lot of things like turning corners and overtaking and things like that. And before this was invented, the horn just didn't have a good sound. It was too loud. It sounded bad. Bosch horn invented something that was really easy just to press with a button in the car, and it created like a nice sound. So this is one of the German kind of innovations that still lives on today, and is yeah, it's very cool that they've got that feature on the car on this model here. Yeah, undercarriage body pan. Here we go. Yeah, so this was very, very flat, so that helped a lot with the military stuff. For an off-roader, it's maybe quite strange or unusual that this was actually a two-wheel drive car, but it was extremely capable. And this version, the model itself by Rock Hobby, this can switch from four-wheel drive to two-wheel drive. So this is something that the real car couldn't do. But yeah, I think with the you know, with the four-wheel drive, and also it had portal axles. So it's got portal axles, which gives it perhaps a little bit more ground clearance. And the differentials for the wheels can actually be locked and create a reasonable kind of crawler, which is quite cool and nice. So other cool features, we had adjustable side mirrors. These are very scale, and the real car was very much like that. We have a spare wheel and tire on the hood. Now, if we can we open this one? No, we can't. But if we go to the back, you'll see that inside is a moving fan belt. So this, when you accelerate the car, it actually goes around. Now, this, of course, is a really classic element to Volkswagen Beetles and this kind of car. Now, the idea was that it didn't need water in order to cool the car down, and so it was excellent in hot and cold climates. Yeah, that's the main reason why this was used in this way. There are some really interesting things. Yeah, some really interesting things on the dashboard. I think the clearest image is here. Okay, so the dashboard is very realistic. It displays the speed and timing of gear changes on here. So there's like little red lines where you need to change gears. Now the original Kübelwagen was 4-speed. Now this model is 2-speed. It aims to emulate the second and fourth gear, apparently. And yeah, so it had these little marks on here. And one thing that I thought was especially like a nice little touch was that it says the mileage on here, if you look really closely. And the mileage is 203 kilometers, which apparently is the distance from the Wolfsburg factory to Berlin. So it's supposed to be a brand new car. So it's traveled from the factory to Berlin, and it's ready to you know, for people to get in. And yeah, I just think that's a really nice little touch. And this is the kind of thing that I think FMS, I really wish that FMS would continue with this, you know, this scale details, because this is the kind of product that I think that you can just talk about. Like, it's a discussion piece. If somebody comes to your house and says, oh, what's this? And then you could spend an hour just talking about the features and the history behind it. And I think that's really, really cool. There's a storage box in here. The seat folds down, which is very nice. And some other features we've got the stamp on here, which gives you the kind of car information such as the weight and the size. It's in German, so I can't read it. But yeah, very, very cool. There's a little space here. Have a look here. And these little clips are for putting guns. So it's to fit a 98K rifle. You can fit 4 rifles in here. And there's also little mounts in the floor where they go in, where the rifles would fit in. So really, really cool scale details. One of the coolest things about these cars is these models is also that the handles pull open. So you just turn it and then it unlocks a kind of spring lock in here. And yeah, really, really nice. So yeah, and then you can lock it here. Another cool feature is that the start, and it's a cool feature, but it's also a little bit like it's not very practical for model users, for RC driving. The start button is actually located here. You need a kind of a key or a stick to reach in and actually turn it on. Yeah, I can just get my finger in there behind the steering wheel, and then if you can hear, I'm not sure if you can hear that. That's the on and off button switching. And yeah, really, really nice job on the scale details. Okay, let's have a look at some comments. Okay. Donald Snap says, "We will not buy anything this live stream. We will not buy anything this live stream." Yeah, it's good to try to stay in control of these things, you know. Hello, Quinn. He says, "Hey, mini truck maniacs." Victor Mars said a limited edition 4-wheel drive were built, 10, I believe. Yeah, I'm not sure if that could switch between 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive, but I know the Willis could, so it's possible. And let's see, nice thing, that's insane detail. It is insane detail, and it's the kind of thing that I think FMS or Rock Hobby, they started this very early in their kind of journey into doing RC cars, and they really went they really tried their best to go for the scale side of things. And I think they kind of found that people liked them, but weren't really going to buy them because they didn't perform as RC cars. They didn't perform, they don't have a really strong motor. They don't have, they have a lot of weight, of course, and things like that. So I think FMS have kind of shied away from these cars, but it's a real shame because I think these, when I first saw them, I could just feel their quality. My personal feeling was that they would be great as builders kits, because I think when you're building it yourself, then you spend time to actually appreciate those little parts, so it would be great to get it in a kind of 10th scale or bigger, and have that option to have a builder's kit on it. I think that would be really nice. The last 3 live streams were super expensive for Donald's Neff. I'm sorry about that. Nice move, Donald's Jefferson. Now you have everything. Okay, sorry, I'm just reading random comments here. That Blue Jay is calling me. Let me take a minute to just jump out of this history lecture, and I'm just going to show you the Blue Jay for a minute because we've got a big sale on it. And I'm going to be really careful because we haven't actually installed it properly. No, I have to be really, really careful because it's really not properly installed. But here I am. Everything's off. But I just want you to have a look. This is the size of it. This is a kind of beginner style plane. It's what do you call it? Plug and play. Basically, it's got everything that you need, including the transmitter and the battery. if you want to get up and start using it. It's a very simple design, and the price for this is now $99. So it's almost free, basically. And so go to our website, buy it. You can try flying a plane. You know, go somewhere safe if you haven't done it before. Take a few lessons if possible. Go with someone who knows what they're doing, but get it and have a try, because these planes are really fun to fly. We've got a video on this. It's made by one of our collaborators called Honeywood Hobby, and he does an excellent kind of coverage of how this thing flies, how it goes together. I suggest you check it out if you're interested, and yeah, go and get started on the RC plane hobby. Pretty cool. I'm going to pass that over now. Okay. Can you run the Colorado on 3S? I believe you can. I believe you can, yes. Need to make sure that it fits in their little compartment. The little crazy quad brothers. Hey, Joe. And hello, nice to see you. Okay, I guess I'll order it myself. That is a great buy. $99. I mean, I don't think we'll be doing this very often. This is Black Friday stuff, so you know, we need to try to get your attention. There's a lot of companies out there trying to get your attention, so the price is really, really good for that. If you have any interest at all in flying, if you just want a new plane to fly and you don't want to spend a huge amount on it, this is a really good one. By the way, it doesn't come with reflex. If you're, you know, reflex is kind of way to counterbalance the plane, so it's a smooth flight. This one doesn't have reflex, which makes it kind of not totally suitable for total beginners. But if you've had like 1 or 2 planes or flying experiences before, this one should be okay, and it's pretty good. It flies really well without reflex. And you can feel the plane a lot more. The advantage of it is, you know, when it's got reflex, it's kind of on automatic, whereas without it, you can really feel that the flight physics working. So very, very cool. Okay, let's go on. So based on the Kübelwagen chassis and the KDF wagon body came the Commander Wagon, or Commander's Wagon, or I keep feeling I should be saying Wagen, but I'm probably totally wrong. So this was also designed by Ferdinand Porsche. It was designed as a light off-road passenger car. It had 2 doors, so you can see them here. They open, and listen to that sound. It's so nice. Yeah, they open with the handle. These ones open much easier, and I think it's a bit more durable than the Kübelwagen model. And it has 4 seats, so it has seats at the back, which is really, really interesting. So considering this was used by people in the army, German officers, people in the back, when their car was being shot at, imagine, you know, it's already quite difficult to get out from there. If you've, I'm sure you guys have experienced getting out from a back seat when there's only 2 doors. Imagine the officers trying to get out of that while being shot at, you know. I think that's a really interesting thing. So what they did is they had a soft canopy top, which could be folded back easily, and then the soldiers in the back, or the officers in the back, would jump out the top of the car, which also seems like a bit of a challenge considering there are these big windows in here. But these were high up officers, so they're not gonna, they've got a certain level of protection, as opposed to, say, the Willis Jeep, which doesn't have doors. It's really easy to jump out because these are more kind of combat ready cars. All right, and these were designed with portal gears and offered to senior officers in the German army. It belonged to a unit called the Reichsbahn, and driven by Erwin Rommel in North Africa, in the North African Corps. I'm reading my notes to make sure I don't get anything wrong, but yeah, very nice. Of course, the civilian successor to this car was the Beetle. An interesting fact about this one was the city, which was basically a whole city designed, like built from the ground up to manufacture these cars, was going to be closed down by the British Army after they had won the war. But the leader of the army in this location found an old, commander's wagon, and felt that it could be used by the British Army, and so decided to stop their destruction of the factory, and they started to use these cars in the British military themselves. And the idea was that it would become a British car, a British product, but in the end, it was given to German German companies to run, and it stayed a German company, and of course became the famous Volkswagen Beetle that we know and love today. One of the advantages of the car at the time was that it had excellent ground clearance. I'm not sure if the model lives up to that in RC terms, at least. It's very, very low ground clearance here. It still has that very smooth underbody. It had a rear-mounted rear-drive chassis, and you can see some of the engine, this was engine in the back. It had dual cylinders with with an engine or a motor in both. Which one, engine or motor? I'm confused. It's too early for me. I had about 4 hours sleep last night. And yeah, so this was the model itself is very realistic in this way. And the drive chain is and wiring is hidden under this kind of spine down here in a very realistic way, which is very cool. Now this one also, once again, has that fan belt. You can see it much nicer here. Very cool. This actually turns, and you can see the blades revolving. There's a little hole just here, and when you've got it on, you can actually see the blades turning inside there to cool down the motor. So let's open it up. And inside you'll see it doesn't look anything like the real car. It's got the ESC, the battery, and so on in there. It also comes with a spare tire, which was inside. It's been taken out since then. Okay, what else have we got? These are 5.25 times or by 16 off-road tires fixed with 5 screws. This is very realistic, according to the FMS video. They say this is how they came in the original car. Let me open the door for you once more. Inside, you can see that the inside of the car has actually been textured. There's this really nice, it's still plastic, but it's given that texture to look like fabric on the doors, which is pretty cool. You have that handle to wind down the windows. Doesn't work, but it's still there. Very, very nice. Okay, let me tell you a few things that it's not so scale for. So once again, this one, it doesn't have a foldable canopy sunroof. It can switch between 4-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive. This is just 2-speed and not 4-speed. And this running board, I believe that the real running board here was black, not this sandy color. And of course, there's one more thing, which I always think is a bit strange to leave out. Maybe I'm wrong. No, I think there are 2 exhaust pipes just here and here. I think they're supposed to be exhaust pipes. So that's quite scale as well. Very cool. the Kübelwagen has an exhaust pipe just here. It's very nice. I like these kind of details, you know, because they're often left out when we do the scale RC cars. Okay. So yeah, two really, really cool products on the German side. This was the German military. If you're interested in any of these products, we do have them for a pretty good price at the moment. I'm not sure what they are exactly, but I'll get the price for you in just a minute. But these are both available at fairrc.com. And I believe that some of them, at least, are in the, they're in the, it's early morning here. It's early morning here. Yeah, they're in the Black Friday sale. So yeah, pretty cool. Okay, so let's go on to the American side. So of course, one classic car came out from Germany. One of the most, you know, really, really amazingly, you know, influential cars came out in America at the same time. So this is the Willis MB. Okay, now I've actually got two to show you today. Iconic, yeah, I was thinking iconic, but it's not the word that I was going for. It's this is a car that has really changed or inspired a lot of company cars. So the you know, the Willis MB, which of course became the Jeep, and that of course is a really iconic car. Then of course, over in Japan, they got one of these and they reverse engineered it and made the FJ Cruiser, which turned into the Land Cruiser, another really iconic car. British got it and reverse engineered it, turned it into the Land Rover, another really iconic car. So imagine a world without the Willis MB, you know, without this early model Jeep. And a lot of the cars that we have today wouldn't even exist. And I think that's really interesting. For those of you who are interested in the Commander's Wagon and the Kübelwagen, these are going for $139.99 now, which is a fantastic price for something that's so detailed. It's not, you know, of course they go, they're trail cars. They go on, you know, if you're taking it down the road or, you know, down a country lane, it's pretty good. It's not going to go crawling. Don't expect it to go over your rock course or anything like that. But they look really awesome. They're discussion pieces. They're things for history buffs, I think. And okay, let me show you the Willis Jeep. This is one of my favorite models from Rock Hobby. The Willis Jeep. We've got it in 1/12 scale, and also let me bring out. The 1/6 scale. Very nice. You can see the difference in size. Yeah. So this one, it was the 1/6 was the first one that came out, and then the 1/12 came out afterwards. Considering the scale, I think this one is much more is more impressive than this one. They're both impressive scale cars, but to get it at that scale, this size, which is compared to a Power Wagon, let's just this is a 1/24 scale car, apparently, and it's basically, if you check, it's only like, I don't know, 5 centimeters longer than the Power Wagon. So the actual scale for this is really, really small. And it's got more detail than the 1/6 scale, I think. Both of them are awesome. This one has a chassis which swings up like this. Sorry, body swings up to access the chassis. And it has a 35T motor. It has spring suspension. I don't know if that's oil shocks or not, but really nice car. I'm going to put that down to save. There we go. I just put it here. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Have a look at some comments before I move on. Where's the mouse? I got my blue blazer today. It comes with stickers. Yes. Awesome. Thank you for letting us know, Johnny. Def throws some Meteor tires on them and you're set. Yeah, these are really, really scale, narrow tires. The tread for them is not what you'd expect from a crawler. You know, it's really just two. There's two sides, whereas with a crawler you'd get a line of four, you know, lugs, 4 islands across the tire. So these are really just scale-looking tires. Okay. By the time I was in the army, we had Hummers. That's cool. We've got a Hummer. We can show that to you soon. And people say America hasn't given the world anything. I'll see your argument and raise you a Willis. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about this. This is a really interesting story. So America at this point was playing catch up to Germany. Like I said, Germany had been building military capable cars since the early 1930s. When America kind of suddenly or finally realized that they were going to enter the war, they had to do it really, really fast. So the government put out an issue to 135 car manufacturers. And they had very, very specific requirements for what they wanted, which it kind of reads really, really comparably to the kind of requirements you'd have for a rock crawler RC car. You know, so they're talking about lightweight. They should have made them in Lexan. Lightweight, ground clearance. They had, you know, it had to have good ground clearance. It had to be capable of driving up 45-degree inclines without tipping. It had to have a lot of torque and so on. So they had very, very specific requirements, and they only gave companies 7 weeks to build a prototype, and only one company managed to do so, and that company was Bantam Car Company. And so they fulfilled their objective totally. Willis also submitted a prototype, but it wasn't totally, it didn't totally meet the requirements. So Bantam Car Company started to build these, but before long, the contract was given to Ford and Willis because they had much better manufacturing capabilities. So they could put out a lot of, you know, a lot of cars at a quick speed, which is what the government needed. And in total, in the war, they made about 650,000 of these cars. Yeah, between 1941 and 45. So that's a heck of a lot of cars to build in such a short time. And the fact that they've built something which has been so everlasting is amazing. You know, the fact that they've actually, you know, there are cars today which are very closely based on the design of these cars. You know, that's a really, really cool fact. So anyway, during the war, there's kind of a competition between who got to keep the Jeep. You know, so Willis and Ford both wanted to be seen as the, you know, as the originators of the Jeep, so that they could sell them after the war. So Ford had their F logo stamped on every single part of the car until the government asked them to stop doing that. And they also patented the grille. So the grille, which is a classic, you know, Jeep car grille, which has 7 slots. Originally, it actually just had like 16 vertical bars that were welded on. That's what I think Bantam first came up with. But then to save production costs, they turned it into 9 slots, and that was patented by Ford. Then later on, Willis wanted to, after the war, Willis wanted to say that this was their idea, their car. They said that the Willis MB was their own creation, when in fact it was kind of a combination of several different companies. And they, so Willis MB had to change the grille from the 9 slots to the 7 slots, which we know today, just because they had to avoid Ford's copyright. You know, this sounds like something that RC companies have to do all the time. So if you wonder why doesn't it have 7 slots or something like that, is probably because it's not a licensed product. You know, they have to avoid their copywriting, and of course we had a lot of problems with that with the Dinofari. Yeah, not the Dinofari, the Michigan. And speaking of the Michigan, we have a mystery box for $269.99, and you get a 1/10 scale car, and it's a mystery what you will get. Okay, but anyway, that was speaking about the Michigan. You can check out the link. We'll put the link on for that in just a minute. $269.99 for a mystery 1/10 scale car that we have a lot of in stock, and we have no way of selling it. And so you may get something resembling one of these cars, something resembling this, resembling a Jeep style Wrangler car. Okay, you might do. I'm not sure. Okay, so let's go on. Where am I? So let's have a look. This car comes with a star on the hood. The star. So this is so that the US military could recognize them from above when they're going over with their airplanes, would see that they are Allied forces, they are American, and not shoot them. So this was a kind of sign that we are friendly, don't fire. So that's what the star is. Then we also have the serial number alongside the hood. And we also, somewhere, there should be along the side. I'm not sure if it's on this one, actually. No, there's not. There's normally a little stamp which has, you know, the dimensions of the car on here. So people could quickly identify the type of the car. If they have to change some of the parts, they know what parts they are needed. But this one doesn't have it. It has this star on the rear, again, just to show who they're with. Okay, and this car has lights. It has spotlights here, and it also has tail lights. So you can see them both here. Pretty cool. This here is a little slot for the jerry can, which is actually attached so nicely with a buckle around here. It's actually got a tiny little buckle, and that's really, really cool. And okay, there's a bunch of little accessories along here which I can quickly show you. The shovel and the axe. It has a fire extinguisher, which is just mounted here on the fender. Okay, and yeah, really nice. Going back to the lights, is one of these lights? Yeah, one of these lights has come out. I did see it earlier. It's come out. I can't see it now. Anyway, yeah, there it is. So the real Jeep has lights that can actually swing around. Actually, you can turn these lights around. And also another thing that Jeep would do is they would cover them with sandbags. And the reason is that if the car was kind of hiding in some wooded area and another car came driving by with headlights on, the problem was that the lights would reflect on the headlight lenses and give their position away. So they would cover their headlights with sandbags so that there was no reflection. And that way they could stay hidden. I think that's a really cool little feature. But yeah, no sandbags on these ones. Maybe that's something you guys could come up with yourself. We have a side view mirror just on the driver's side, which is kind of quirk of the times. We have a retractable windshield. So the retractable windshield, and sorry, it's very dusty, but I guess that adds to some of the charm. The real Willis MB could actually tilt upwards as well. So you didn't have to push down the whole windshield. You could just lift it up a little, lift up the glass, basically, from inside the car. And that way you could shoot people as much as you want without shattering your glass. Yeah, so that's the idea. You could lift this up, you could shoot, and then you could bring it back and the glass would be undamaged. So that's pretty cool. Of course, no doors, so they could easily jump out. And but they did have a kind of canopy. Let me show you this one. This one, the 1/6 scale, has this soft canopy. Now, I can't totally put it on because it would take too long, but it's got these little holes where you can just mount them, and then little pins along the windshield where they can go in. And this is very scale because the original one, the real 1-to-1 scale model, the canopy kind of rose up higher in the middle. I guess that was to let the rain come off, drip off without getting, you know, because if you've ever run a market stall or anything like that, when it rains, all the water gets caught up in here, and then you've got a problem. It starts to spill out. You have to poke it, and then all the water will come over the top. So I guess this was kind of tent shape so that the water could drip off more easily. If you have a look here, you'll see, let me get a bit closer. You'll see the dashboard, and the dashboard has 5 gauges. So we have speed and mileage, we have oil, we have amperage, temperature, and something else, which I've forgotten. But very realistic. This also has the same scale features on the dashboard. Then we have the gears. So this actually had 3 gears, and this car, the 1/12 scale, also has 3 gears. It's really unusual for us to have an RC car with kind of a slow, a medium, and a high gearage, and so that's really, really cool for people who love that kind of driving experience. So you could change the gears using this stick. And then we have 2 other sticks. One is to change between 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive, and the other one was to change, what was it for? From low gear and high gear. I'm not sure what's the difference there, but yeah, pretty cool. Okay, the seats are made with a foam material to resemble the real thing, perhaps a little bit more comfortable than the real thing, but they look really, really nice. It also has an openable toolbox. I can't seem to find a toolbox in this 1/12 scale model. There's definitely one in here. You can see the box here. And this one, I think it has one, but I can't seem to get to it. Maybe Donald's nephew, you've got one. You could let us know. Okay, low range and high range. That's what I mean. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look at some comments. I think some people, maybe more people, have knowledge of the Willis MB, so you guys probably have some interesting things to say. Let's quickly go along. Plus, your head was slightly above the top of the windshield. Yeah, because they're actually so small. Anybody who's tall has a hard job fitting in these cars, actually. So if you've got a 12 scale model and you try to put it in here, you'll probably find it's a bit hard to get them in. So that's very realistic. I used to hate driving through the woods with those headlights, Papa says. Got money sitting in the bank for the new 110 Blazer. May have to hold on to that for a little while. It's not coming out before Christmas, I'm afraid. So just bear that in mind. Can't wait for the FCX 18K10. That's my next RC purchase. I don't know if that's coming out, but that should be pretty good. I'm also looking forward to that. But I'm not sure when that's coming out, or I can't confirm that it is coming out. G.I. Joe fits good in it, in the 1/12 scale model. That's good to know. Okay, ordered a 110 mystery box. Can't wait to get the Michigan and 7-slot grill. Well, I think you'll get lucky on this one. Okay, so what else do we have? Yeah, there's the real model had like a 12-foot antenna. It had like 3 extensions which could come up. This one doesn't have the antenna, which is a bit of a shame. What this car does have is it has 3 servos, which is really cool to know. All of these really scale ones that I've shown you so far, they have a servo for the steering wheel. So it actually, when you turn the car, you can probably see it, is it? No, it's not working on this one. But when you turn the wheels of the car, the servo also moves this one. I think this is because there's a separate servo for this steering wheel. So it doesn't work when I just turn the tires like this. And yeah, it's really, really cool to put an action figure in there and have him actually drive the car in a really scale way. So yeah, that's really cool. Okay, I think that's about it for the Willis, but yeah, one of the nicest scale models that we've got. Shall we do our Seckilling? I think we should do it because we said it would take about 5 minutes, and I think it's been 50 minutes. So I'm sorry about that. Let's do the Seckilling. We're going to put a link on the chat box for the Harvest, which I'll be showing you guys in just a minute. Okay, so the Harvest is a CR18P model, and it's this one is not the Evo version. So just bear that in mind. It's the CR18P model, and it's got portal axles, which work really well. It's got a lot of torque. It's got really great electronics, which are very smooth. And Lexan body. This is the Power Wagon style body. It's called the Harvest, this one. And functioning, I believe, yeah, functioning headlights, bucket lights up here that are not connected, but you could wire them up. There are a lot of upgrade parts available. So this we're selling for 50% off via the link that we're putting on here. Okay, so check the link. We're only selling 2 of these, 50% off. That's $70. Is that right? $69.99. And yeah, so we're just selling 2 of them. So you have to be fast. Click on the link, buy it. $69.99 gets you a really awesome crawler. It performs great. One of the best performing crawlers in the RC market for mini crawlers today. Excellent, excellent car and excellent chassis. So go ahead, get that. $69.99. 2-speed, no. 2-speed, that's the Evo version. There is a version with that, but that's not the version we're doing in the Seckilling. We would love to do more items in the Seckilling, but you know, we have to get them approved by all the manufacturers. So they normally don't want us to sell off the cars too cheaply because other dealers complain and things like that. So this is the main one we're doing today. We're also going to have a T-Hunter builder's kit, which is also 50% off. And we're going to stick the link for that in just a minute. T-Hunter is a Unimog style body, and it's the same chassis as the Harvest, but it's a builder's kit, so you need to make it yourself. You need to paint it yourself. It comes with upgrade brass rings, and it also comes with the metal gears as well. I'm not sure. Have these have been updated with metal gears already? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they come with metal gears or not, but I think it's possible. Anyway, the builder's kit does. We're selling 2 of those, 50% off, and the price for that is $64.99. $64.99 for a builder's kit is a really good opportunity. Only 2. So if you go on, you're trying to buy it, and it says that it's out of stock, that's because you're too late. Okay. Good luck. Hope you manage to get a product that you like. Pages have been up for a while. Yeah, if anybody's been alert, maybe you've seen it, but I'm not sure if it says what they are. Love my T-Hunter Evo. Surprised I don't see more of them. They are really cool. I like the orange. There's an orange color for the Evo. So just show you here. Whoa. This one, I really like the orange. But there's another product, another RC Unimog style car, which is orange as well, which always confuses me. But I like that one. And it also has, there's another one. I can't remember the color, but there are two color options for this one. And then the T-Hunter CR18P non-Evo also has two color options as well, which is kind of more of a forest green color, that kind of thing. Okay, so we're going to move on now to the Power Wagon, which I just showed you just now. And we can actually have a whole show just talking about Power Wagons because we have so many of them. This is the Harvest, Hobby Plus. This is FMS Power Wagon. This actually, it comes with more of a roll cage with a mounted spare tire, so there's part of it missing here. We have the Fury Wagon from Fury Tech and Hobby Plus. And we have here the Atlas 6-wheel drive. 6-wheel drive. So yeah, a lot. We also had, and we couldn't get it for today, was the 4-wheel drive Atlas, which is also very nice. Let me just put these in the center. So Power Wagon was a 3/4 ton truck, and there was a military version of this, which did very well in the Second World War. The main difference that I could see is it had a longer and flatter hood bonnet. This part maybe came out a bit further and it was flatter. And then after the war, they began production. They realized that a lot of people really want these heavy-duty off-road trucks. So they began production on a more civilian version in 1945. This was it's basically very much the same as the military version. And it was going until the 1980s, and normally it would have the words Dodge along the front, but none of these cars are licensed, these ones. So none of them have the official licensing. So this was actually the first 4x4 medium-duty truck produced by a major manufacturer in a civilian version after the Second World War. Some of the cool features of it are the bucket lights. You can see some slight changes in the bucket lights for the 6-wheel drive Atlas and the Power Wagon. The Atlas has larger bucket lights, which I think look nicer personally. But yeah, very similar. These ones seem to come out from the grille, which is interesting. It's made as a piece connected with the grille, whereas these ones come out from the fenders. And I think the fenders this was the more standard version for the Power Wagon. And yeah, these ones also come out from the fenders and have quite large bucket lights. This one from Fury Tech is totally not scale. The fenders have been shaved off. And yeah, although one scale thing is that this one has a cargo bed. The original Power Wagons had cargo beds. And you could often tell the difference between different series or years based on the design of the cargo bed. Whereas these ones are very much kind of customized style. So there are no real Power Wagons with this kind of roll cage and these stacks at the bottom and things like that. Yeah, it's yeah, what was I saying? I forgot. Okay, so what else? So one thing I was wondering is, because these were going for such a long time, how do we know what year these models are? And it's very, very hard to tell because the actual cab has been reused and doesn't change very much at all from one version to the next. So the actual cab is the same. These other parts have been customized, custom built, so they don't help us very much. The very early Power Wagons had a flat fender. So instead of curving around this side, it was flat at the top. So that's a giveaway, that this was not one of the very early versions. But apart from that, there's really not much that we can guess from the actual details of these cars. And so I put it in the 1940s section because it started in the 1940s. And that's about it. So yeah, these cars are really nice. If you're thinking which one should you get, so let me quickly tell you some of the advantages. Obviously, if you want a 6-wheel drive, then you want the Atlas. This also has some cool little accessories that come with it, which look pretty cool. It has that, interestingly, it has that toolbox, which the T-Hunter has. But the T-Hunter's toolbox is one you can actually open up and put the battery in. And this one is just for show. Just for show. A lot of people say the Atlas is a really good performer. It does well on the rocks. It can be upgraded, especially using the CR18P parts. So this one is a good version if you want just a crawler. You don't care about high speed. You want a slow, smooth crawler. This is a good one. It has a lot of upgrade parts available. This is the Harvest. And then the Fury Wagon is a great one if you want a brushless system. It's the most expensive one. It's also got an aluminium frame rail chassis, which is very nice. And it has damper shocks, which are much better than the shocks on the other cars. So you get a lot for your money, actually, for these ones, and a really, really good value. So that's the Fury Wagon. And then if you want something that's got 2-speed, it's got a lot of upgradable parts and aftermarket support, and something maybe a little bit smaller, then this is the Power Wagon FMS. This one is a good one for you. Tons and tons of aftermarket support for these. You can upgrade them in almost every way now. Lots of different aftermarket companies support the FMS FCX24 chassis. So that's a really cool thing. Another cool thing about this is that you can change the body for another body. You can buy a K5 body, or you could buy one of our Lexan Bronco bodies and fit it on, and you get a new car. So these ones are really nice if you love your upgrade stuff. So this one came out 1945. So one of the first post-war trucks from that era. And lastly is the Magnum. I'll quickly show you this. So I've got 2 versions. I've got our modified rusted version, and we've got the kind of turquoise or green, ocean green color Magnum over here. So these, of course, were based on the Ford F1 truck. And I was very unclear at first whether to put it into the 1940s live stream or move it to the 1950s live stream. So the main reason why I chose it was that the 1948 to 51, so from 1948 to 1951, they had the same grille, which has these horizontal slats across here, or slots, or whatever you call them, horizontal bars across the grille. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it's the same as the real version. And it has these indicators here and here. These indicators don't actually work on the model. We have the front lights that are built into the fenders themselves. And so it has a very, very distinct look from 1948 to 51. After 51, the front of the car changed, and it had just one large horizontal bar across the front. It has a very different look to these ones. So that's how you know that it's not from after 51. Then in 1950, they changed the beds. If you have a look at this, this is the cargo bed for the Magnum or the Ford F1. It has a opening tailgate. So if you look here, you can see all these indentations, these structural indentations on the cargo bed itself. And these ones were removed and it became much smoother in 1950. So that's one way you can tell that it's not a 1950 car. And then one thing that they added in 1949 was a rear light just behind the passenger seat. In the 1948 version, it has a rear light with one light, just one rear light, sorry. And then in 49, they started to add a second light as normal. So I think that this is probably a 1949 version. The F1, F2, and F3, so they're actually like 8 different F series. They go from small up to large. The F1 was the smallest and most popular one, up to F8, which was a really, really heavy truck. But they all shared the same look and the same cabin. But one of the differences between the F1 and the F2 or 3 was the wheels here. So the lugs, here the wheel, the F1s had a 5 lug pattern on their wheels, whereas the F2 and F3 had an 8 lug pattern. So that's one way you can tell this is maybe an F1, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, these are really nice scale looking cars. These are also on sale at the moment. And yeah, this one. And you can also get this very rusted up version if you like something a little bit more kind of badass looking. It gets the attention a little bit more. So this one has a dashboard and interior, but you can't open the doors. And it's kind of scale, but it doesn't have a lot of intricacies like the earlier models that I showed you. Another thing that I could say is in the early models, we had a small window here, whereas later on they had a large, they made a much larger window at the back. So this is kind of iconic of the 1940s models over the 1950s ones. So yeah, really nice. I love the square fenders that are kind of rounded around the edges. These are really nice. And of course, all the chrome details, the very shiny look of the 1940s, 1950s trucks, which you just don't get trucks that look that nice these days, So it's a really, really cool car. It has a great iconic look. It has these vents. I think it looks just like a snout. People would hold on to the vents to open the hood. So there's like little handlebars in there to pull the hood open, which you can do. You can actually pull it open. And it's got all of your electrics inside. Very cool, these cars. These were actually some of the earlier models that Rock Hobby built, but then they held on to them for such a long time. I think they were released very briefly and then taken off the shelves for some reason. And then they didn't release them again for a long time. I think it's probably to do with copyright and just making sure that they're not infringing on any copyrights. But finally it was released. There's no copyright issues. So yeah, it's nice to see this. Oh, have I just broken it? Have I just poked in? I think I've just poked in one of the, one of the vent holes, but sorry about that. And yeah, there we go. It's got a different look to it now. That's a shame. I can't find it. I have to have a look for it later. Yeah, really nice. I like the running board along here, which is very nice. And yeah, openable tailgate, working lights and rear tail lights, and yeah, altogether a really nice car. So yeah, let's have a look at some comments before we finish for today. Joe did his homework. I'm trying my best. But yeah, I was up really late last night. I was first of all, my wife's birthday is tomorrow, so I was preparing her gift. Sorry, my wife's birthday is today. I was preparing her gift, and I was up pretty late doing that. And it was about 1 o'clock when I thought I better do a bit more research on these cars. So that took me to about 3:30. My son woke me up at 7:30 this morning, so I've really had about 4 hours sleep. When they turned the light on here, is I felt like a vampire. But yeah, it's a lot of fun researching these cars, and I think that's one of the best things about these scale models, especially the older ones. So you can really place what year they're from and stuff just by those details that are included. It gives you that extra bit of fun that you can have even if you don't own the cars yourself. Was he wrong, Rob? I may have been. Misinformation. Or is that, am I being referred to as miss? But yeah, it's possible. You can tell me if there's any thing I got wrong. That's really interesting to know. I'm still kind of just exploring it myself, so I don't profess to know, but this is just what I've come across, what I found. Okay, let's see if you know everything about this one. Magnum is photogenic, but is best at home on mild trails. Yeah, it's more of a trail car. A lot of these rock hobby cars are for trailing rather than crawling. So if you want a crawler, go for one of the platforms like FCX24, FCX18. For their more scale builds, this is really, it's more for trailing. And the cool thing is that a lot of them have 2 speeds, so that they do go at a good speed when you're just walking along. Okay, I learned when modifying the Magnum that the super loud sound is because of that hard body resonating. Interesting. Need a red Magnum. I think that's cool. I'd like to see, happy birthday, Mrs. Joe. Thank you. I'll pass it on. It would be cool if they had vehicles from every decade. We kind of do from the 1940s. So the next one will be cars from the 50s and 60s. So I'm putting a few of them together because we don't have so many models for those. But yeah, that's it. Where are you in the world? I'm in China, in the place where we manufacture these cars. And yeah, that's an interesting thing. So one of the not so scale features of these cars is underneath it says made in China, and it also says in Chinese made in China. Which is actually a very cheeky way to do it in a Chinese writing, but yeah, it's an interesting point. Anyway, any 1 to 10 scale coming soon, particularly from the 112 scale lineup shown earlier? Not that I know of. I don't think there's any really, really high scale cars coming out soon, but we've got a lot coming out for the FCX24 and the FCX18 platforms. So keep your eyes open for that. We've also got from FMS, a very new, much smaller scale car, which is coming out this November, which will be amazing for Christmas. A lot of fun to get kids involved in it. So yeah, keep your eyes open for that stuff. Okay, can you tell us what you can get in new $79 mystery box? Is it 70? Yeah, 79? I think that will be some of the, I can't tell you exactly right now because I haven't got the information, and I really don't want to give you wrong information. And then, you say that I have misled you or something like that. So I can't tell you. Okay, I've got a list. Oh, it's a long list. Some of it's in Chinese, which I can't read. But we have included in that mystery box is the Rock Van, the Trail Hunter, the Convoy, the Rushmore, the Harvest, and then we've got some Easy RC, we've got Glacier, we've got some 112 scales, which are in Chinese, so I don't know what they are. But 112 scales, that's pretty good for $79. And there's a 118 scale, which I don't know what that is either, but it's probably something similar to a Glacier or something like that. I'm not sure. But it looks like there's a lot of really good products on there. $79.99. Definitely worth a shot if you're happy to get a random car. Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, and thank you, and see you next time. Bye bye.